Places around the world may wish to start their own government because they don't like the way things are going. Micronations have popped up in order to find loopholes in the system. Some places may actually have been their own nation in the past and feel like it could be time to go independent once again. Here are 12 countries that could exist. Number 12. Catalonia. This region in northeastern Spain has a separate language than Spanish, and they want their independence. Some claim that the majority of wealth of the country comes from this area, and they don't consider themselves Spanish. So why remain connected to this country? In 2014, 80% of Catalans voted to become an independent nation. Eventually, the Spanish changed their minds, and in 2017, they took another poll, which led to a police investigation of some of the leaders. The scenario of them becoming a free country seems slightly possible, but many negotiations would need to take place first. It wouldn't be the only new country created in Europe by any means. Number 11. Texas. Texas has tried to do it before, so why not again? This southern United States declared independence on March 2, 1836 from Mexico, and for a point in time, they were their own country. Much fighting against Mexico had to take place first, but for nearly a decade, Texas was an independent country. Texas adopted practices of Confederate states, and many settlers from the U.S. began coming in. Eventually, they demanded to be annexed by the U.S., and they were refused until 1845 when they became the 28th state to join the Union. But in modern times, could Texas suddenly become its own country in the future? Who knows? Number 10. Kurdistan. At the moment, no country out there officially recognizes the country of Kurdistan. But someday in the future, that might change. The Kurds have never really felt as though they've been positioned in the right country, often facing persecution from religious beliefs. Some feel as though after ISIS is defeated, the Kurds will hopefully continue to ally with the US in future endeavors. 92% of voters want to be free from Iraq, and they might get the support that they're looking for if they continue with diplomatic relations. Although it's a hotspot right now, they tend to share more rights for women than most countries in the area. Some have considered them to be the indigenous people of Mesopotamia, and their efforts to set up a country here have been denied. Allowing a state to exist such as Kurdistan may be taken as a threat by Turkey or other countries in the area, so it's difficult to tell on this one. They got their own flag and are starting a movement. Number 9. Quebec, Canada. After the conflict was over in 1945, President Charles de Gaulle of France hinted towards trying to rally the Quebecois into an urge for independence. Great Britain had given many other colonies independence during that time, so why not Quebec? Canada was already a free country, and it wasn't split up to honor differences between French and English-speaking inhabitants. French is now an official language of the entire country, but how many other parts of Canada can actually understand their French? Charles de Gaulle also said, "Vive le Québec libre," which means long live the free Quebec. Some believe he got carried away in this moment and really didn't mean to start any drama. Some also felt he was unsympathetic to other regions in France that may have their own languages as well. In any case though, it's not too likely Quebec will become their own country in the future, but if enough people gather, it could be a French-Canadian revolution. Number 8. Latanya. Let's take a quick look at some strange micronations while we're at it. If you venture off to the southwestern area of Sweden, you might come across the strange micronation of Latanya. The bizarre towers that are constructed here are actually art installations on the rocky beach. The artwork is made of 70 tons of driftwood and nails, and appears like it took a long time to put together. Latanya went unnoticed for 2 years, but eventually Swedish authorities noticed the structures and were planning on destroying it. Since the art installation was somewhat illegal to build, there had to be some kind of technicality to it to keep it from getting demolished. In 1996, the small area only surrounding the artwork was declared its own micronation after a long court battle. The micronation even has their own queen that you see here. Number 7. The Kugel, Austria. This building found in Vienna, which translates to Ball Hill, has a pretty strange design and concept to it. If you came across this ball-shaped house thing surrounded by barbed wire, you'd probably be kind of confused. Disputes between Austrian authorities and the artist actually make this strange building its own country. The designer, Lippberger, was arrested for creating this ball-shaped house and spent 10 weeks in jail for it. It's surrounded by barbed wire and has an address that doesn't say Austria. The nation has 650 non-residents and has its own flag and even its own official seal. It's mostly just a tourist attraction, but it's still technically its own micronation. You won't be able to legally visit Kugel unless you can scale a barbed wire fence. It's got a bit of protection for such a small country. Number 6. Scotland. If Ireland can break away from the UK, why not Scotland? Currently, at the moment, only 55% of Scots feel as though that they should remain British. The truth is, the Scots have a much different history and accent from British people. They also still want to remain part of the EU after the Brexit situation. This somewhat sparked an independence movement, and political parties have taken advantage of the surprising rates of supporters for a free Scotland. We all know the story of Edward Wallace from the movie Braveheart, which might become propaganda someday. With their newly found independence, supporters want to remove nuclear arms from their countries and invest more into eco-friendly alternatives. They also feel as though much of Scotland's natural resources could be put to use in better ways, which will ultimately be more beneficial to the region. Some are already predicting that Scotland will become a free country someday in the near future. Number 5. Greenland. Ittoqqortoormiit in Eastern Greenland is only accessible by helicopter or boats and is home to about 450 people. The name was given by an Arctic explorer, William Scoresby, and the name translates to big house dwellers in the Greenland dialect. It's possible there may be more polar bears living in Greenland than actual people do. The people that actually do live here are of Inuit descent, but rule technically under Denmark. It's one of the most remote towns in Greenland, and products here are brought in by helicopter since driving there is impossible. Local hunters make a living from traditionally hunting polar bears, narwhals, Arctic foxes, and whales. The brutal winters and nearly freezing summer temperatures make it a challenge living here. Number 4. Republika Srpska. If they ever actually became a country, the first investment they should make would be to buy a vowel, because this name is a nightmare for foreigners. When Yugoslavia broke off into different pieces, countries in the Balkans such as Serbia, Croatia, Kosovo, etc. were created. But they forgot about Srpska. This republic is constitutionally bound to both the Serbs and the Bosnians. The Bosnians claim that their right to independence is illegitimate, but the Serbians are taken into consideration. It would also seemingly act as a buffer state between the Bosnians and Serbians, which would ensure peace between the two. These two former leaders of the nation that we see here were put on trial for crimes during the conflicts. Anyways, that kind of makes it hard for them to start their own nation. The situation is kind of complicated in that region, and drawing borders was certainly no easy task. As of recently, the proposed areas that would become the new Republic of Srpska were welcomed with a 53% approval rating. Number 3. Hawaii. Would Hawaii ever resort to becoming their own nation as they were in the past? Many historians will tell you that their annexation to the US wasn't all that welcome in the first place. America realized that sugar crops were getting prosperous, and US politics got involved. In 1887, the US brings military troops and forces to the Queen of Hawaii for her to sign a constitution. This would allow for the people to vote on who they wanted to be in charge, and guess who won the election? Democracy. The Hawaiian sovereign movement wants to prove that the annexation of the Hawaiian Islands was illegal, which would allow the Native Americans to run the land. Locals have been suffering from problems that they would consider to be due to imperialism. The organization protested the construction of the Mauna Kea telescope, which has been a sacred site in their mythology. Bill Clinton was sent in to apologize for what happened in the past and for the way the Native Americans were being treated. Natives can now receive certain benefits when it comes to buying land and property in Hawaii, but aren't officially treated as legally recognized indigenous people. Number 2. Puerto Rico. Oh no, not Puerto Rico too. And you guys thought Hawaii was bad. Where are we supposed to get our rum now? Ever since Americans took over in 1889, a wide variety of groups have tried to conspire and start their own nation. This movement didn't really take off for too long. But now after the hurricane hit, you might want to take Puerto Rico up on their offer. Our government supported the annexation due to manifest destiny, but some feel the reason that Puerto Rico isn't at least a state is racially motivated. Puerto Rican politics have pointed that out and felt like it was a good reason to leave the US. The FBI has also put the Puerto Rican Independence Party under close watch, and reportedly, they stomped out the threat fairly easily. It was at a time when America was paranoid about communism spreading to the Caribbean, and they didn't want another Fidel Castro lurking around. In any case though, if other Caribbean islands can get by being their own country, why not Puerto Rico? And number 1, the Lakota. Possibly one of the most disputed pieces of land within the United States are the Black Hills. Other areas in North and South Dakota are the original homeland for the Lakota Native Americans. According to them, the Black Hills are the heart of everything that is. As the American settlers continue westward with the concept of manifest destiny, it became a casualty in vicious conquests of land. Thousands of buffalo that once roamed this area were purposely slaughtered to extinguish the food source of the tribe. That might actually be the case when we take a look here at this pyramid of buffalo skulls. The Black Mountains are still a location of political unrest and confrontations in modern times. Many Lakota believe that this is a unique place where they are able to make spiritual connections to their creators. The Lakota take a large amount of pride in their heritage, and even recently, there's been civil unrest when tribe members feared the government building an oil pipeline through burial grounds and sacred land near the Black Hills. They better figure out something soon before one of those hills gets decorated with an American president.